Well, hello and welcome to It Takes a Village, a recorded webinar from Family and Children's Services. This presentation covers the duty to report requirements of many summer camps and youth organizations. Professional groups, such as teachers, doctors, and others, should contact us for more in-depth information. There's also more information about this online at familyandchildren.ca, or you can call us at 613-545-3227. Today, we're lucky to have Angela here to walk through this presentation, including covering some typical questions that we receive. So, without further ado, over to Angela.
Thank you. The first question we may want to ask is, where do kids need to be safe? Who are our kids that need to be safe? These kids are everywhere in our community. Who keeps these children safe? And the answer is everyone in the community should help keep our kids safe. You might think it's someone else's job to keep kids safe in our community, but really, everyone has to do their part to make sure that our kids are safe. Child abuse and neglect is not really what many people think it is. If you read the news, you might think of things like stories you've heard where there's been some real concerns around significant physical abuse or sexual abuse on children. And that really does happen. But there's lots of other kinds of abuse and neglect that we see that would help keep kids safe if we knew about it. These signs are not really easy to recognize. They can be complicated and difficult to identify. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, about what some things you can look for. The parents that we work with and the families we work with are not any different than you are. Some are ordinary people. They just have some challenges or they need some help to give them a hand up. Sometimes they have concerns around substance use, or maybe they have a mental health concern that's not diagnosed. They also have lots of other challenges. Maybe they didn't get parented properly when they were kids, or maybe they're having a crisis in their life right now and they just need somebody to help them. These people are your neighbors, the people you see at the grocery store, your friends, maybe other family members. They're just regular people. The kids that we work with are just like all other kids. They love sports, or they love to draw, and they love to do well for themselves. But sometimes they have some barriers that prevent them from doing that. And our job is to help this family. We help the families by strengthening them. We try and keep them together the best we can. Lots of times we ask for help from other family members or other people who can help the family who are in their neighborhood or in their school. We help families get connected to services that they might need to help them get to a place where they can keep their children safe. It's not always easy, but we can make a real difference. We can't do this without you. We can't be everywhere, but you can, and the community can. If you see a family that needs help, help them by calling us. Here's what you need to know. The law in Ontario is clear, where anybody who has any suspicion that a child is being maltreated, they must report it. The person who sees the concern is the one who has to call us. You can't go and tell your supervisor or tell somebody else and expect them and ask them to call for you. The law is very clear. You are the one that has to call us. If you are a doctor, a teacher, or if you're a camp counselor, the law is very specific that tells you, you have to call, you have to take action, because you're in a role to help keep kids safe. If you tell your supervisor or someone in charge about your concerns around the safety of a child, and they tell you not to call, or they say they'll call for you, they're not allowed to. The law is clear. You have to call. If someone tells you not to call, you still have to call. The law says so. You can tell the person in charge or your supervisor that this is what the law says. And when you call us, you can let us know, and we'll help you and support you in making that call to us. So here's some things that you can look for. If you're worried about a child where they're being abused or neglected, here's some things that might trigger for you. If you see a child with injuries or marks on them, and you're worried about what the child told you how they got it, and it doesn't really make sense, or the child has consistent injuries on them, and you're worried about how they're getting those injuries. If you see a child with blood in their underwear, or if you see pregnancy in young girls, that's a real concern that you would need to call us about. If you see a child who might be depressed or very withdrawn or very wary or scared of adults, that's a concern. Somebody who's sick all the time, or you see that they don't seem to be getting enough food. Those are things that you would want to call us about. If you're not sure and you're thinking that you might be worried about a child, but you don't know if you have this duty to report if it is child safety, you can always call us, and you don't have to give us a name. You don't have to give us the family name. You can just call us with questions. You can tell us what you're worried about, and we will tell you if that is something you need to report to us or not. So here's what you need to know about violence in the home. Lots of times, kids are exposed to their parents fighting. Sometimes it's okay, but most of the time it's not okay. If children are seeing their parents fighting, whether they're screaming and yelling, whether they're name-calling, whether they're being physically harmed or things are being thrown in the house, that affects children. That affects their development. So we need to know about that. If a child tells you a disclosure of abuse or neglect, here's some things that you can do to support that child. Be calm. Control your reaction. It's so very important that you don't show the child shock or that you get upset, because the child may think that they've done something wrong. Tell the child that you need to tell somebody who's going to help with the problem. Then write it down. Document what the child said as much as close to it what they said as possible. That will help us know what the child is saying and how we're going to make a plan around helping to keep the child safe. As soon as possible and right away, call us. We are open 24 hours a day. You can call us right away. We have people that are waiting to talk to you on the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The people on the other line, they're social workers. They're experienced and they know what questions to ask. You'll be asked your name. We're going to ask your contact information. We will ask you if you want to remain anonymous to the family. Lots of times we ask you, can we be forthright with the family about what the child told you? That helps us in supporting the child around what they disclosed. We will support you around that, and we explain to the family that you don't have a choice. The law tells you you have to call us, and we will support you around that and let the family know. We may call you back. We may need some more clarification, but your contact information will not be shared to the family. When you get the information, call us immediately. When you worry or you see something that you're worried about, call us immediately. Because as soon as we know that there is a worry about a child's safety, it allows us immediately to make a decision about how are we going to make a plan to keep this child safe. You don't have to worry about knowing all the information. We may ask you a lot of questions, and there may be some things you never even thought about until we ask you those questions. But don't think you have to know everything. Just know what the child has told you or know what you've seen. If you've seen things on Facebook or seen things on social media where a child has said something that concerns you, call us. We will make sure that we get that information as we need to make a plan to keep the child safe. If for any reason you can't get in touch with us or the matter is urgent, please call 911 or please call the police station. If you have any other questions or if you want to find out more about how you can be involved, go to familyandchildren.ca and call us at 613-545-3227.
Well, thanks, Angela. Remember, it takes a village to keep kids safe. If you see a family that needs help, then help them by contacting us. We all have one thing in common, and that is family, and we all live in the same community. Once again, call us 24/7, 613-545-3227. If the matter is urgent or you can't get in touch with us, call the local police or 911. Thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate all the stuff that you do and what you do in the community keeping kids safe. Remember to go to familyandchildren.ca to get more information about this presentation and other information about keeping kids in our community safe. Thank you for being with us today.